mainstream Adventism, which is where the current is the strongest, the flow of the main church, its teaching, its scholarship, its members. But then on the side, like any river, you've got streams, currents along the edges. And you've got the more conservative, ultra-conservative streams, and you've got the more liberal, progressive type of streams. But then you've got the mainstream where the current is the strongest, and that's where I'm coming from. That's what I represent, is mainstream Adventism. Of course, we all would like to say we're in the middle, but that's what I endeavor to follow. And I have seen false gospels, particularly in the ultra-conservative side, that don't really grasp the significance of what Christ has done.
Dr. Lake, like we looked at in part 1, Adventism isn't supposed to have multiple streams. You guys supposedly have the theological God particle, the theory of everything, the mind of God, Herbert Douglas told us. It's supposed to be the antidote to theological division. I constantly bring this up to SDAs. What a claim, folks. It's just such a crazy claim. And then you'll get SDAs who are ignorant of this more than likely. Why are you picking on Adventism? Your organization has made arguably the most grandiose claim in all of existence. You claim to have the theological God particle. Herbert Douglas uses Stephen Hawking's example of the God particle to say that's the equivalent of what the great controversy theme is to all of reality. Theological division is supposed to be the hallmark of Babylon. You guys are supposed to be distinct and separate from all that. Yet more and more, we keep hearing from you guys referring to these other streams, which would mean you're not united. In fact, Ellen White claimed this unity must be present in order for your guys' unique special message to go forth and spread. Notice, from the Ellen G. White 1888 materials, page 559, quote, Jesus has prayed that his disciples all might be one. As thou, Father, art in me, and I in thee, that they also may be one in us, that the world may believe that thou hast sent me. It is through this unity that we are to convince the world of the mission of Christ and bear our divine credentials to the world. And the glory which thou gavest me, I have given them, that they may be one, even as we are one. This is what we want. This is what we are waiting for. More of the glory of Christ to lighten our pathway, that we may go forth with that glory shining in our countenances, that we may make an impression upon those with whom we shall come in contact. Close quote. It's supposed to be your guys' unparalleled unity that demonstrates to the world that you guys in particular are Jesus' true disciples, that your special unique message is true, and that your organization bears divine credentials. This is the problem with this ridiculous claim that you have the mind of God, the theory of everything, that antidote to theological division. Once again, outside of the insulated and air-conditioned halls of SDA academia, when you get out into the scrutiny of heat and humidity and have to try and defend such a totally insane claim, it all fizzles out. Because practically speaking, theological unity is not the hallmark of Adventism, like at all. Just look at the comments of our videos, folks. That is a perfect case sample. Notice he said, we all like to think of ourselves as the mainstream. Yes, bingo, sir. Spot on. Which is exactly the point. Adventism is a splintered mess with every pocket thinking they're the true thing. They can't agree on whether or not drinking a Pepsi is a sin, but they've got the theological God particle. It's crazy the arc that this movement is on. They went from without question knowing exactly who they were, their supposed identity as God's united people in these last days with a unique mission and message that only they have, everyone agrees on it, all of it is the old landmarks of truth that are never to be altered, to now having an identity crisis of not even being able to clearly articulate what it means to be an Adventist. The effect that time has had on this movement is fascinating. But again, we got more of the posturing that critics of Adventism utilize fringe sources. Dr. Lake, again, You haven't done your homework, sir. We don't appeal to fringe pockets or personal experience on this platform. My personal experience is irrelevant. I had a great time in Adventism, actually, to be perfectly honest with you. But that's not the baseline for answering Adventism's critiques. It's not because, some Adventists hurt me somewhere, or these silly claims they make. I love Adventists. That's why I'm doing this. If I didn't like Adventists, I wouldn't be doing this. I'm doing this because I like Adventist people. They're genuine people most of the time. A lot of them have been duped. We just met a guy in our members-only live stream last week, a guy named JJ. Shared his testimony. That's exactly the person we're here for. Exactly that person. Equipping more Christians to reach more JJs out there. Didn't have his heels dug in. Said of his own volition, he was more of like a liberal Adventist. So a lot of conservative SDAs will probably cheer that on. Yeah, get him out of here. It's shaking, whatever. Yeah, praise God. Didn't have his heels dug in. Came across our platform. God used it. Moved mightily. He believes the truth now. Praise God. That's who we care about. But no, it's not the hyper-conservative fringe of your movement that's putting forth a false gospel. You all have a great controversy worldview. That's why I don't even waste my time on conservative, liberal labels within Adventism. It's irrelevant. It doesn't change the facts. The great controversy is what defines the gospel for you all, sir. Like Herb Douglas said, and it's that definition we take umbrage with, not some fringe, hyper-conservative SDA somewhere.